All right, you are on.
Okay, we are on. So this is round 2, trying to get Jan Edwards from Paving the Way on here to talk to caregivers about human trafficking and ways to help prevent that.
And again, if you guys are watching this, this is our Monday Caregiver Check-In. Welcome to the Monday Caregiver Check-In. Yay!
Yay! Second one of the year.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, you didn't see all the mess ups because we didn't upload the mess up. But so this is our Caregiver Check-In. Christina's back on with us. Hey, Christina. Hope you're doing well. Just so everyone knows, setting the ground rules, this is our time to talk with caregivers, to encourage everyone, and to help everyone out for the week to come. So do you want to give some of the small print out and say hey to Christina?
Yeah, so we are not trying to replace anything that your caseworker is saying or a therapist. We are not medical or legal advice. We are just other parents coming together to share experiences, ask questions, give tips and ideas. We always come with a topic, but sometimes the conversation kind of takes a different route. Today, though, we do have a way on here to talk about human trafficking prevention, which is a relative to our population. All right.
Works. Technology is good when it works.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that sounds better. I think
Yeah.
that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, well, I got my headset on.
So.
All right. Well, Jan, we have people that followed us over to round 2 here, but we
Okay,
also
great. Good.
we're also going to be putting this up on YouTube for
Right.
people to watch. So can you kind of tell us about yourself and tell us about Pave?
Absolutely. So what Paving the Way does is we are a fierce disruption in the cycle of child trafficking. We really go out and educate kids. Kids are the commodity. They're the ones at risk. So we want them to learn what human trafficking is and, more importantly, how to prevent it. We've educated almost 6,500 kids in the past 2 years. I have it that we've saved almost 19,000 lives because once you know what to look for, you can actually alter the conversation. So that's what we do. And we're actually in the middle of a program with middle school, which we're really excited about. It's, these kids are so great, and they're really learning so many things about this horrific crime. And I was just going through, because we did a pre-test and a post-test, but I don't tell them it's a pre-test. I tell them it's a survey and feedback form. And I was just going through the second group, and, there's 2 things that really popped out for me. One is they believe children should be educated. And this was before the training happened. Okay. The second thing that really, and there's the knowing, and then there's the data. And what I'm discovering with the data is they want their parents to be educated. So this conversation is very timely, very poignant. January is Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month. And I don't know if you saw the news today, but there were several children that were lured into human trafficking by a gaming app called Discord, where it's a place where kids can talk, gamers can talk. And there were 7 adults that lured 4 kids from out of state. So this is a very relevant topic today.
Yes, that is. And especially because a lot of our kids are so into game. I mean, forget about foster and adoptive. So many of our kids are into the gaming world. And I think they don't understand the dangers and different things in the gaming world and how they could be duped or how people might be pretending to be something they're not.
Yeah, and it's and that's the thing that the kids don't know. They don't get that the person on the other end may not be the person, and that's and that's part of the conversation we have. We've got our second half on Wednesday, and it's really about the human trafficking trap of social media, and what they can really what we want them to look out for.
Very cool. So,
Yeah.
what are some warning signs what are some of the things that we should be watching for as foster and adoptive parents?
Well, so I want to start with a couple of things, right? I want people to understand what human trafficking is. So there's actually a legal definition. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
sex trafficking is when a child under the age of 18 is really induced by force, fraud, or coercion to perform a criminal sex act. Now then, that doesn't need to be present for it to be human trafficking, because we believe in the state of Florida, we're so lucky to be here. The state of Florida actually has a law that we believe any child under the age of 18 would not choose to do this. So if a child is ever swept up into a sting, or like this, these young men that were rescued today, they will not be charged with anything, because we're clear this is not a choice they would make. And so that's really the definition is forcing a child to do something they don't want to do. And then really kind of some frightening statistics is Florida has the third highest number of calls to the National Trafficking Hotline, and we have the third highest number of cases in the country. And
Wow.
I just listened, AG attorney, our new attorney general, our new attorney general, I need to take a drink of water. She quoted those statistics today. So I'm like, I can repeat what she said.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
Not
here's
in a good way.
no. And here's the thing that people really need to know. The average age of entry, according to DCF, is 12 to 14. So that's why having this, that's why having this conversation, and I tell you, that's why we had technical difficulties. You got to this is the devil's playground. This is where evil comes to play, and us disrupting it, in particular in the realm of the foster system, it's going to upset some people. And you know what? That's what we do. That's why we're out to disrupt it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fantastic. Well,
do you know any offhand? Do you know of any stats as far as human trafficking in relation
to foster youth? I was just reading an article today, and here's the thing about statistics, right? And that's one of the reasons why we're doing this research project is I want data, right? Because there's a sense of knowing. I want data. Yeah. I want data to prove my hypothesis right. And it's funny because I told the kids last Wednesday, I said, look, let me give you the key to life. Life is like a big science project. It is. You have a hypothesis and you go out and you test it, right? You think getting drunk is fun and okay to do until after you get hungover and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that again. Right? Even though there's plenty of scientific evidence to say drinking alcohol will cause some stuff. So, life really is a big science project. So, here's what I've been told, right? I don't have science data backing it, and I can get it for you and put some reports. If we load this up, I'll add it. Is that foster children are more risk. They've already experienced some level of trauma, and traffickers know this. Traffickers target. They can actually walk into a mall and go, yep, she's been abused. Yep, she's got low self-esteem. Yep, he wants to belong. Yep, they actually can pick it out. And because most foster children have been through some level of trauma, it's like they have a big sign over their head that says, pick me. Because in reality, all of us, I don't care how old you are, all of us want to be loved. And if we're not going to get it at home, and we've had our deepest trust betrayed, and someone promises me the moon, I'm going to go. Because that's what I want as a human being. It's a human phenomenon, not just a foster kid phenomenon. And so, sadly, the children in our foster care system may have been saved from one particular type of trauma. They might be at risk for other types of trauma.
Okay. Joy on Facebook says, human trafficking is going to be a major part of what my dissertation is based on. I'd love to connect with you to get more insight and possible direction as to data and research that's most needed. So that's a
Wonderful.
light.
Where is she located? I'll type that in. Where are you located? Where are you located? Okay. Because we would love to have that conversation.
Yeah. Sometimes you're looking at data from 3 or 4 years ago too. So, sometimes like we're looking at compared data, not what's going on
Right.
so fast in this realm that,
Is there any way that like, how are people targeting our children? You were saying walking into a mall or walking, or is it online games? Like what are the most
I hate to use the term everywhere, but I'm going to say everywhere. And what I mean by that is, children, there's familial trafficking, right? There's friend trafficking. There's organized crime trafficking. There's trafficking that happens on video games. So, it's really up to the parents, which is why we're having this conversation, to really be diligent about what your kids are doing. And that's kind of that's the direction I want to take this. Because I want to distinguish a couple of things for parents. There's a recruitment process and there's a grooming process. So I want to go through that so they can really understand what recruitment is and they can have that dialogue, what grooming is, and they can have that dialogue to. So as like a definition in the realm of human trafficking is the actual overall process of attracting, selecting, and appointing for jobs, right? That's what people in the IT world, that they recruit people to, right? That's really what you're doing. You're recruiting someone for a specific job. Now, in the realm of human trafficking, you're recruiting someone for labor or sex, or quite frankly, even organ trafficking. That happens too. It's very, it's even darker than the other stuff. So here's some of the tactics that predators use, okay? They establish trust and rapport very quickly. So it's like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're the one. I'm in love with you, right? And it happens very quickly. And now remember, you're at mind of a 14-year-old. You're looking for love.
right?
And the person's attractive. The person, drives a nice car. They might buy you gifts. I want that life, okay? They might feign, oh, you know what, you're my one and only. I have no friends. Just be with me. Just stay with me. And the human condition, we don't want anyone to hurt or be alone. So, okay. Right.
Right.
The professing of love and devotion. Look, you're my only one. Why can't be? You don't need your parents. You don't need your friends. I've got you. I'm your one. Right. And they drive it in their head. And the thing that they'll do is, because, kids will vent anywhere. You give them a platform and they'll vent, and social media happens to be one of those platforms. And really all it takes is, my mom made me mad because she didn't buy me the shoes I wanted, or my dad was late, or, my big brother didn't come to my football game, right? And these trolls look for that kind of stuff and say, oh, my mom made me mad too. What'd your mom do? And so the next thing you know, they're building this rapport over how much their moms suck, when in reality they don't, right? Moms and dads and big brothers and big sisters, we're all human. We are going to mess up. But they'll build that wedge, and they'll, oh, remember that time your mom didn't buy you the shoes? Oh, remember that time they were late? See, they don't really care about you.
Right.
And they'll do it over and over and over again, proving that you just need me, right? They'll buy them gifts.
And that's all. And like you were saying, that's all a very quick process. It's not. Are we talking like days, weeks, months?
Well, a pimp will take up to 9 months to recruit somebody. because this is a lot of money. One child is worth, up to $250,000 a year.
Whoa. Okay.
They're patient. These people are patient. If you think about it, if you have it's called a stable. These recruiters and these pimps have a stable of 10 girls.
Huh.
Even at $50 a pop, you do the math. It's a lot of money, and it's a cash business, so it's not traceable.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So
real quick
there's,
before we go on, if I can
yeah.
encourage real quick, this is such an important topic. We have technical difficulties at first, so our original title isn't on there, sharing what we did. If everyone take a second while you're listening to us talk, if you could check out on social media platforms that you're watching this really does bear that other parents watch and know about. So just, I appreciate that on.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So the recruitment process, I mean, that sounds scary in and of itself. So then what happens?
It is. So, once, well, and not, the other thing too that I really want to warn parents about is, once this romance happens, because there's several methods pimps use. They'll use, romance, or they'll use other friends to invite them to become, right, whatever. They will give them really nice gifts. So if your kid ends up with a brand new iPhone X, or the brand new Samsung, or a brand new Louis Vuitton or Kate Spade purse, and you didn't buy it for them, that's a red flag. And you want to look in your child's eyes and go, so gosh, this is, because the thing that parents do, and we talked about this the other day, we want to, are you kidding me? What did you, like you want to yell because you're so afraid. It's the fear that's driving it versus, gosh, this is so pretty. Where did you get this? This is amazing. I don't remember shopping for this. Right. And you watch them. You got to look in their eyes. Do they get fidgety? That, like everybody has a tell when they lie. You just pay attention. And then the other thing too, that these predators and traffickers do, which is masterful. Okay, you're my love, but gosh, you know what, you are underage and I'm 24, and we need to keep this secret. So they demand that the relationship stay secret because someone else might, and so when your children are spending an extraordinary amount of time in their rooms, and you see them shut the laptop as soon as you come in, or they put down their phone, that's the kind of stuff as a parent you really want to look for, And then grooming, grooming is a process that goes along with it. And that's it's the art. These people are master manipulators, and there's an art to this. Right? They're very trustworthy at first, and they actually start to befriend and establish a rapport and an emotional connection with that child. Remember back to, oh, your mom didn't pick you up. Well, I'll pick you up. I've never been late. So they draw back to that one thing or two things that kept happening, right? And it's all, and the thing that they do too is they'll actually start to build a rapport with the family. That's how pedophiles happen. And that's how the family can go, but he was such a nice guy, but she always took my daughter to get her nails done. Like the disbelief, because these people literally will weave their way into your life. Now then, I want to be cautious about something. Not everybody's bad. Okay.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Not everybody's bad. And what I teach the kids, and I say the same thing to the parents, is you got to trust your gut. If somebody starts coming around your kid and it doesn't feel right, that thing right there in your solar plexus that kind of gets all bubbly and it's not acid indigestion, you want to check in. You want to get where they live. You want to find some information about them. Look, there are websites all over that can show you where a child predator is located, right? A registered sex offender. There's a national registry. So, you can look that up. And if you have any kind of doubts, like you really think something's happening, go to your local law enforcement. Seminole County in particular is great at this. They follow up on every single phone call of whether it's sex trafficking or child abuse or whatever they get. And that's really important, is if there's that gut over here, you check in with each other, right? Your parents, or you check in with, maybe the other kids in the household going, this seems weird. Is it weird to you too? So you're not
Right.
alone in your thinking. It's because look, we can get paranoid pretty quickly. So you just want to you want to do the reality check. And
See, this
and
is
it's
blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind that you're telling me that they weave into, because I guess I always pictured this that yeah, when you're talking about like going into your kid's room and shutting the laptop or their PC, and like I get it, but then the whole thing where you're saying that they might weave their way into family, and you're like, oh, that's a
I'll
girl
go
or
pick you. I'll go
guy.
pick your kids up.
That's
Yeah.
blowing my mind right now, because I guess
Yeah.
I always have the idea that they're going to have the curly mustache and I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, don't trust that guy.
No, and that's the thing. That's the
That's
thing. And
painful.
all of it is to lower, right? It's really to lower the child's inhibitions because they start to trust this person. And foster kids in particularly are vulnerable because they're already looking for love. They're already dealing with some other stuff. And the level of peer pressure at school is so intense, in high school in particular, that if you don't have the latest fill in the blank shoes or purse, or now for little kids, the LOL dolls is the thing. If you don't have that, you don't fit in, and we're tribal by nature, and not fitting in and not being part of the tribe, technically, in our amygdala back here, equals death. So we're going to do anything we can because we already don't fit into our family. I'm already living with people as awesome and lovely as they are. It's not my mom and dad. So I'm already ostracized. So if there's another tribe that's going to take me and this is what I have to do, okay. That's why gangs work so well. It's because they know what these kids are missing.
Hey, and real quick, too, while we have people that are jumping on and coming on here,
Mm-hmm.
just so you know, speaking with Dan, we're talking about human. If you have a question or if you have a comment that you want to share, go ahead and do that at any time, and we'll pause and we'll ask a question like Janie.
Thanks. Yeah, please. We love questions. Yeah, we love questions. So, yeah. And then there's another so I'm going to give you like some signs of grooming, okay, which kind of mirrors recruitment. However, there's some slight differences, right? And this is coming from, they either give presents or they do favors for the children, right? I'll help you with your homework. You go fix dinner. I've got this. The unexplained closer jewelry. Offers to take them for manicures and pedicures. All of this is to build trust, and in particular, eager to babysit, because here's what and they'll start to isolate the child, and they will actually start to cross the line physically, even in public. Come sit on my lap, or they'll put their hand, they can put their hand so it sits right here, right, or it might sit on their stomach. So they'll actually start to cross the line physically. And one of the last points I want to talk about is gaslighting, because it's in the same realm as grooming. And gaslighting is, and we talked about this briefly, right? Like, let's say, I'll pick your kids up and I'm going to take all the girls to get their manicure, right? So I've got a car full of 4 girls. We all go get our manicure and I bring them home. But what I tell you is, well, you know what? Little, Sally, she actually took one of the nail polishes. I went ahead and paid for it. Don't get mad at her. She was, she just really wanted that color, and I went ahead and paid for it. So don't tell her. Right? So now I've planted a seed of doubt about your kid. And I'll plant these little seeds all along the way. The predator just keeps planting, planting, planting. And then they're crossing the line physically, they're building this rapport. And the next thing you know, your kid comes home sobbing, Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so just abused me, right? They touched me inappropriately. They did something to me. And because all those little seeds have been planted of doubt, you now don't believe your child. And that's the most damaging thing you can do. Children do not lie about this. If a child says XYZ is abusing me, so-and-so is bullying me, you believe them, you sit down and you say, tell me all about it. And then you pick up the phone and you call 911 and you call the Florida Abuse Hotline. You want to get into action immediately, because if you show any hesitation as a parent, that one thing, especially with foster kids, that thin strand of trust will be broken. You're just another adult. You're just another adult that didn't believe me, that's going to screw me over, pardon my French. Fine, I'm on my own. So anytime a child says so-and-so touch, and you know, we want to teach that. We want to teach what inappropriate touch is. You know, you know, if anybody touches you in the areas of your bathing suit, that is inappropriate. And, you know, I teach parents, you know, from age really 5 on, you got no business bathing your kid. You can like stand outside the bathroom to make sure they're okay, right? You can have the little, you know, shower curtain closed 3/4 so you're in there with them so they're safe. Yeah, there is no need for you to be bathing your kid after the age of 5. There just isn't.
Right.
You know, and it teaches them body safety and body awareness. This is mine. Right. And the when I, I talk to the kids, and all the kids, they so laugh because they get it. I said, I'll say, how many of you have that aunt or that uncle that your mom always makes you hug and you don't want to because they creep you out, you know? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, because we do. We have those people in our life, and we can't explain it, right? And the moment the parent forces that child to hug that whoever, family member, family friend, whatever, you've just now told that child they no longer have a say over how their body goes. So I say, yep. And we're all guilty of it, right? Because we don't put it together. And so I'll tell kids, I said, you tell your parents, go, look, this is what Miss Jan told me to tell you. You're mad, go talk to her. But I'm uncomfortable hugging uncle or aunt or neighbor so-and-so. I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to do it anymore. That just, we have them find their voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think voice is a thing that we're always stressing with caregivers through trauma, through being forced into strange houses and all this stuff. They lost their voice, or maybe they were fortunate and they cried and they were never heard, or inconsistent caregiving, but they've all lost their voices this way. I want to give them that voice back. See so much because they're basically taught to go with strangers.
Yes, they are. No, they are.
To this other stranger, and they're just surrounded by strangers, and so they tend to get lack of stranger danger because they're going with strangers everywhere.
Yeah, I live with strangers. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So we've had come into our house and said, you see this lack of boundaries, lack of personal space, and we've had therapists that walk in the door the first time they're trying to hug them, like, no, hold on, back up.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna reverse my camera for a minute because I really want to show you guys something. These are points I want you to remember, and I'm putting this on air for a reason, right? And I'll go through them, but we really want to remember predators can they'll become part of the family, right? If we fail to recognize it as grooming. And look, again, I'm going to say the same thing I tell the kids. Not everybody's bad. You just want to have your antenna up. When things seem to go too easy, when things seem to go way too well, you want to step back a minute and go, hang on a second. right? When someone gets a gift, you want to know where it came from. And you, especially with inside the foster system, with the kids, you want to teach them to say, I've got to ask my mom before you give me that bag. I have to ask my mom before you give me, like, whatever that is. And this is the point that I was making before. A child support network, look, they're groomed to believe the predator, right? That all those little seeds of doubt. And I cannot emphasize this enough. If a child says they're being abused, you always, always, always believe them, even if you think it's impossible. Because I have so many survivor friends. I have so many domestic violence friends. I have so many children that have, that were abused as children and grown up, and they're said, I told my mom, she didn't believe me. And ended up being abused for years continually, because the one person, or their dad, right, the one or two people in their life that they trusted didn't believe them. And kids will make up things very rapidly in their minds, and you're done. You are done. So, and that's, creating this safe space and having these kinds of conversations with your kids. And I coach people. Start with a statistic. Start with, Florida has the third highest number of calls of human trafficking. And my favorite place to have these conversations is always in the car, because they can't go anywhere. And it's a short, and it could be a 15 or 20-minute drive, but they can't go anywhere. They're kind of in the car with you, and you can have a phones down in the car rule. And it could be so benign. It's like, gosh, I was on this thing the other night, and I heard that Florida has the third highest number of calls for human trafficking in the United States, behind California, Texas. Isn't that crazy? And then you watch to see how they react. Oh, well, what's human trafficking? You can start and then you can go home and Google it. There are so many great resources online. We have videos on our website. I've got videos on my webpage. Polaris has great stuff. Shared Hope has great stuff. I'm trying to think of the other one. Fair Girls has great stuff. GEMS. There's so many great organizations out there that has information that you just type in human trafficking, and a plethora of information will come up. And now you've started the conversation. Now their interest is piqued, because you've said something they may not know. And then to talk to the kids about what to look for at school, because there's that little girl or that little boy that always eats lunch alone. I invite the kids, just go sit with them. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to talk. Just go sit with them. So in that moment, they know they're not alone. They know that someone saw them. That little act of kindness can go a long way. That the little girl or little boy that's, we all have those kids in school that are just boisterous. They're like, their whole, it's out here, right? And they might come to school one day and all their energy's here. They don't look up, and they're submissive, and they might look disheveled or disoriented. As a friend, you just want to check in. Are you doing okay? Is everything okay? And again, they may not say anything to you, but they're going to know you noticed. And if you just keep checking in on them every day throughout the week, you doing okay? Everything all right? And report it to a teacher or a principal, because you want the teachers aware of what's happening with, your friend. You could actually save somebody's life if they're being recruited and they're being groomed. Because one of the other tactics that these boys use is, I love you, 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 I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I love you, so there's this push me, pull you thing. And, we all want what we can't have.
Right.
And when you're 14 and this boy's cute or this girl's pretty, well, what do I need to do to get him back? What do I need to do?
Right.
Well, you need to do this. And the biggest misnomer I really want people to get is trafficking isn't being kidnapped and taken to another country or even taken to another state or city. Trafficking can happen between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. every day. Someone can pick these kids up from school, take them to a hotel, drop them off before dinner, and the parents will never know. Because the whole time, because the whole time they're on their little phones. When I see families out to dinner, everybody's on the phone. I want to be like Jesus in the temple and everything off. Yeah, well, and what I do, because I keep little postcards in my purse about signs of human trafficking, and I'll interrupt them. I generally do it on my way out. So I'm not, I just saying it's strategic. And I'll walk up and say, your kids are beautiful, right? Your kids are awesome. This is what I do for a living. Here's a couple postcards. Why don't you guys have a conversation about it and not be on your phones? Because right now you have no idea who's talking to your kids. And they get all flustered and they're grateful because they say your kids are beautiful, right? So there's a compliment in there, but at the same time, it's like, look, they're prime targets. And that's the thing that the police officer said today. Parents, if you take nothing else away from this, you have to know what your kids are doing online, and there's software that you can track it. I'm not going to recommend any of them because it's not what I do. It's your job to go look at them and know your kids' passwords.
Absolutely.
You've got to know your kids' passwords, because I get texts all the time from parents whose kids are missing. It's my first question. Do you know what your kids' passwords are? And no, they don't. And I'm like, well, because there's all kinds of apps that you can track that way, and they don't know.
Real quick, I have about 8 here. Let me go ahead and tell everyone that's watching and a recap that we are talking. If you're just joining us during the last part, talking about human trafficking prevention, how foster and family. Jan has been so great to be. I hadn't been on the edge of my seat drawing this, drinking this in more than any other person we've had talk with us. If you have a question for Jan, or if you need some advice or some suggestions or anything, we're looking. Monday Caregiver Check-In is for you to talk, to get out of. So please ask your questions, or if you have any advice or suggestions, that would be great. I will reiterate them and break in. So what do you think, knowing your child's passwords, what a foster parent or an adoptive parent, if you are watching right now and they're kind of going, they're like 2, 3.
Mm-hmm. Like some of this is resonating. Like, I think my kid might be doing that, right? Yeah. I believe this with all my heart. Anything can be resolved in a conversation. Anything. And it's got to be a conversation. It can't be the parent yelling at the child, and it doesn't work to make them wrong. It just doesn't. Now, we're human. We're going to have human reactions. And that's really what to prep your children for, okay, is, look, I'm a person, believe it or not. I was a kid once too, shorter and had lots of raging hormones too. And my job is to protect you and keep you safe. And that's what this conversation's about. In particular, as a foster parent, my job is to give you a safe space to be. And I get people have screwed you over. Adults have screwed you over, and you don't trust us, and I get it, and I can't blame you. However, I'm going to give you some words of wisdom, and we're going to have a conversation about this. If not for you, it might help a friend. People like to help friends. So it takes the pressure off them, and it creates a safe space for them to start to share stuff with you. And one of the things I did with my daughter is she knows everything I did in college. All the good, all the bad. Because she needed to know I was a real live human and that I wasn't joking about some of the stuff I talked about, and there, there by the grace of God go I. There are times I think I was almost trafficked when I was in my 30s. So I met some guy at an airport. He's very attractive. He moved me up to first class, bought champagne. We had great conversation all the way up, and he wanted to fly me to North Carolina. And for whatever reason, I lost his phone number. And the more like now I know what I know, I was like, I think that guy was trying to traffic me.
Isn't that eye-opening?
Very eye-opening. Yeah. Hindsight's 2020. So as parents, we have the only thing is we have more experience, and that's really what we want to share with them, because they're going to make their own pitfalls. They're going to have their own mistakes.
Now, if someone is watching and they are putting, they're like, okay, conversation's got to happen. What I guess while we're getting ready to sign off, give us some encouragement, some hope. I mean, this is some real stuff. I mean, and I love talking about this.
Yes, it is.
People don't want to talk about it, but it's happening.
No, they don't.
But what's the encouragement?
Yep.
What's the hope side of it?
Here's probably the biggest piece of hope I have, right? Is this can be stopped. Mm-hmm. All by a conversation. You start with a benign point of facts. You've now opened the door for a dialogue, right? You've now opened the door, and you just keep standing there with the door open. And here's what I know. Out of the 200 pieces of paper I've gone through of these kids, the middle school kids, and I ask a question, do you think kids should be educated about human trafficking? They all said yes. They want to know. They want this information because they keep hearing things in the news, or they might see posters out and about. They want to know. It's our job to educate them. And sadly, most parents don't know what it is. So we educate the parents, we educate the kids. There's now an opportunity for a conversation. So our kids want to know this. And I'll tell you what, they watch stuff way worse than you could even imagine. So having this conversation might scare them a little bit, but if you give them the tools of what to look for and say, look, this is the action to take, you go talk to a trusted adult ASAP. Don't stop, go. There was a little girl that was in the mall. She said she shared this story last week. She was in the mall with her friends, and she watched this older guy following a girl. And they went and found one of the mall police officers. And they did what they did. They gave their statements, and when they came back around the corner a few minutes later, the guy was being arrested, and the girl was like she was visibly shaken, and they were escorting her to safety. So little kids, kids want to know this stuff, and they want to make a difference. Fantastic. So that's what I'm going to leave you with, words of hope. They care, they want to know, and so let's empower them to get them to have that happen.
Jan, if someone's watching this, hindsight, or if they have more questions, they can leave comments below.
Absolutely.
And checking. We'll get in touch with you, or you can be checking. Where else can they go? Like, what's a website they can go to? What's a way they can get in touch with?
Sure. Well, so I'll put my I have a couple websites. So Stop Trafficking Today.
Okay.
We've got a document they can download. So they can go to stoptraffickingtoday.com. We're showing our film on January 22nd at the Edgewater Library, so they can come watch our film, Trapped in the Trade, and be part of the conversation. And then we also have an event at the end of the month, the Human Trafficking Awareness event, Orlando Human Trafficking Awareness event at Calvary Assembly. It's all day long. We'll be showing films and having panels, and it's another great place to get educated.
A lot of our viewers are nationwide, or even in other countries. So is there a good place where they can find some more local things?
For where they are, You know, a lot of the stuff that I have on my website, my Facebook page, is very average, right? I mean, anybody can listen to it. It's not country or state or city specific. The National Trafficking Hotline has got some great stats, and I'll put that in here too. The National Trafficking Hotline, and they can also the TIPS report for whatever country they're in. The TIPS reports the Trafficking in Persons report. Yeah, so they can go to both of those websites. The TIPS or the State Department TIPS report. They just need to type in human trafficking tips 2018, and it'll be a report for around the world.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Jan, for being with us today. I hope
You're welcome.
found this valuable because I found it invaluable.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Seriously, my wheels are turning right now, and I'm thinking of conversations I probably need to have. So this has been fantastic. Again,
Good.
everyone, leave comments here. Margie and I are always checking Facebook, and we are watching out for things for people if they have questions or whatnot. Little housekeeping that's a little bit lighter that doesn't have to do with this. Like Margie mentioned at the beginning, we are having our Sweet Dreams Nightlight Drive that we do every year. It's going to be starting in February. It's going to be across the nation. Get your night lights ready to donate. We're going to be giving them to foster families as a way to wage war on nighttime terrors and kiddos that might have been sexually abused and are afraid of what goes bump in the night. A way to empower them because they can see the environment around them. Like we've been talking about, they're in a stranger's home. A nightlight empowers them to see what's going on around their bedroom.
Yes.
Get some power. Felt safety. The other thing that I wanted to share with everyone, Figuring Adoption have opened up a third-party print store. So I know people have asked us about different go to our website for our store that says third-party store. If you follow that, we have dresses, bags, t-shirts, our program. Thank you so much. And be happier. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the hard work you do. And we are going to sign off. Have a good
bye.
Hope we're helping you nurture and grow your foster or adoptive family.
Thank you. Bye.